Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today we're in forward plot on Battleship New Jersey, and we're going to talk briefly about the firing keys, the triggers, if you will. This is the stable vertical. It is essentially the main trigger console for the 16-inch guns. There are a number of other places around the ship, like a fairly big number, like in the 40s, of places you can fire throughout the ship, but this one is the primary. Each of the triggering consoles like this, the gyroscopically stabilized consoles, have 3 triggers for them. There's the 2 smooth ones. Let's see, these are listed as Mark 17 Mod 7s. And then the one that's got the raised bumps on it, we call it the pineapple. And this one is listed as a Mark 17 Mod 6. And it's basically just a trigger. It's got a trigger piece. It's got a hole cut into it that a trigger can slot into. And it's got like a spring in there that gives you resistance and pushes the trigger back into battery after you've pulled it. And it's just when the trigger is depressed, closes an electronic circuit that sends a signal into the console, and from there that signal is transmitted to the guns to fire. So, why do we have 3 triggers? The first trigger is the salvo signal key. Sounds an alarm throughout the ship that we're about to fire. Down here, it's the bell ringing. Throughout much of the rest of the ship, it's that You hear it on the beginning of all of our videos. That is actual recording of the salvo fire key taken from elsewhere on the ship. And then you've got an automatic firing key and a hand firing key. Automatic firing key essentially is you pull the trigger and hold it down, and that's waiting for the gyroscope to tell you that the ship is returned to level. There's 2 switches in the firing circuit that have to be closed here. The trigger itself and the gyroscope. So you're holding the trigger to keep that signal closed, and you're waiting for the gyroscope to close it. Typically, during shore bombardments and things like that, this ship is relatively stable. She's sailing slow, she's close to shore, she's got a huge displacement. There isn't a whole lot that's making us rock. So that's a fairly instantaneous thing most of the time. If we were going guns blazing in a storm, and one of the great things about battleships is their all-weather capability, then you might have to hold this and wait a little bit. If there's something wrong with the gyroscope, however, the hand firing key basically bypasses it. Closing that circuit just closes the firing circuit and allows the guns to fire immediately. Remember, you can still use Chief's coffee cup to see if the ship is rocking or not. If there's ripples in the coffee cup, don't pull the trigger. In addition to being used for the gun firings, they were pretty common to give away, particularly to commanding officers, as gifts, plaques, things like that. And the whole purpose of today's video is to show you this new artifact that the museum has in its collection. So this firing key is actually a Mark 16 Mod 9. It's not the sort that mounts onto the console here. It's the sort that's up in the turret on the hand wheels that they use to fire the guns with. So you can see it's got the mounting on the side there, not on the front. Same concept though. Pull the trigger. Whichever guns that are loaded that this is associated with will go off. And this one is special even in its out of context use, because it was given to Admiral Tucker on the occasion of firing the guns. He probably got the least opportunities to fire the guns of any of the ship's commanding officers, because during large parts of his time in command, there was a moratorium on firing the guns after the explosion on Iowa in April of '89. So during the subsequent investigations, there's a moratorium placed on firing the guns. It actually seems like there were 2 moratoriums, like the moratorium was briefly lifted and then a new moratorium put in place because there were multiple investigations, and they're waiting for the feedback from those investigations to say, 1, are the guns safe, 2, what safety procedures have to be put in place to keep this from happening again in the future. So it's always special when the battleship's guns go off, but for Admiral Tucker, it might have been even more special than for the average crew member on board. And so the crew made this great plaque for him, and this would have been made on the occasion of the ship decommissioning. You see the dates here. It's for his time in command of the ship. So as the ship is being taken out of service, they are removing this and mounting it on a plaque for him. This is not the only plaque like this that we have on board. We have a couple others in the collections that were given to other commanding officers, which is interesting because there's a finite number of these triggers in existence. And my suspicion is every time one of these is given away as an award, they have to go and take more off of the mothballed ships or museum ships. So earlier in the ship's career, cruisers have the same kind of trigger console. There are several of these around. You can go to a mothball fleet and grab them. By the 1980s, these are much, much rarer. So I can't say for certain, but I have a strong suspicion that ships like Little Rock and Salem and Massachusetts and North Carolina and Alabama probably have their triggers stripped for use on the Iowas, as some of these break. Some of these are given out as awards and things like that. Now this one's happening right at the end of the ship's career. There's no news that she's going to be turned into a museum. There's no real reason to keep it on board. So it's not like the ones earlier in the ship's career when they give it out as a plaque and it's like, uh-oh, we got to replace this now. Admiral Tucker was on board visiting just a couple of months ago now as of filming this video. And we have accessioned this into the collection as an artifact and is now on display in forward plot on Battleship New Jersey. The space where it would have originally been mounted is not on the tour route, so plot is the space with the firing keys that is available to the general public to see. If you want to see this cool artifact, come on out and take a tour of the ship. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, and also a number of businesses and private individuals like yourselves. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to donate towards the ongoing restoration of the battleship. Your support gives us the time and the funding to be able to go through our artifact collection, get new stuff up on display like this trigger. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find about the museum and our channel. Thanks for watching.